Hello, my name is Andrea Miles. I am the founder of Brave, and I am here interviewing Officer Lamar Glass. He's an officer with DPD. And today we just want to talk and educate the people a little bit on how to handle different scenarios when you're stopped by the police. So I'm going to introduce Mr. Glass, let him tell everybody a little bit about himself. Mr. Glass, Officer Glass.
How you doing, Officer Lamar Glass? Well, I've been a Dallas police officer for 9 years, going on 9 years. I have the great opportunity to protect and serve the place I grew up. Enjoying the job, and let's get to these scenarios.
You left out the most important part.
What part?
You are a graduate of the Skyline.
The great Skyline.
The great
07.
Skyline.
I was going to put up the 07.
Yeah, you got to plug that in. 06. Okay, so we have 3 scenarios that we're going to go through. So we have the aggressive civilian, and we'll flush these out. Officer bad mood is what I'm going to call the second one. And the last one is the perfect traffic stop, if that even exists. So let's start with the aggressive civilian. Paint that picture for me.
So say if let's just give a scenario. They ran a stop sign, right? I go behind them, lights and siren. They don't stop immediately. And I get sometimes you don't stop immediately. It all depends on where you're at. But let's just say we're in a neighborhood where you just easily pull over. They don't, right? Because they probably in a rush and just having a bad day. Get to the car. We always check the trunk. People don't understand why we check the trunk, because you never know, maybe somebody in the trunk. So you get there, and you can tell by their body language. The window don't go all the way down. So as an officer, what do? Do you have a screaming match about raising the window down or not? Right? And this is for, this side of it is for my police officers. What do? Me personally, I don't care. As long as I can communicate with you, I can see you, and if the window's down, as long as I can get that driver's license and insurance, we're good. But just say you have a person that don't want to raise the window down. What do you do in these situations? So I teach a lot of officers to slow it down. Get somebody else. If you're by yourself, get another officer out there, right? And this person might be having the worst day of their life, and we got to understand that part too.
Right.
Because I pulled many of people over where their mother just died, their kids just went to the hospital from school, and they didn't want to stop at this stop sign. So we had to take all these things under consideration. So as an officer, what do? You get somebody else out there, you talk slowly, you slow it down for them. And that's what you do, because you're going to be all MFers. And we got to understand, you can't take this job personal. A lot of people do that. If you're screaming at me, you're not screaming at Lamar. You're screaming at the Dallas Police Department. And I understand that, and that's what we got to get a lot of officers to do. So in scenario 1, what do you do when the civilian is having a bad day as a police officer? Because what we see what's going on is they try to match the screaming.
Right.
The police officer would try to match the screaming. Get out the car. What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. You're being aggressive, right?
Right.
That's not necessarily the case. If I sit there and just let them finish, as long as I can see their hands, we're good. I can be everything in the book. So as officers, we have to slow things down and get to what they're saying is, Mom having a bad day. Mom just passed. Sorry for your loss, but let's make this as quick as possible so we can get this over with. But we get into a rush as officers and say, well, get out the car. Is that the right time and the right place to get out the car? While they're screaming? You know what I mean? So it's a whole lot going on. So as officers, we have to learn how to slow things down and take it for what it is. And they're not screaming at you personally, because it's never personal when you're wearing this uniform. So that's without going on a long rant.
Let's break it down though. Let's flesh it out for the people watching. So I wrote down some stuff that you said. So, you said you check the trunk. A lot of people don't know why you checking the trunk. The attorney in me is like, why you checking my client's trunk? So tell the people, when I pull this person over and they're being aggressive and they're not letting the window down and I don't know what's going on, why do I need to check the trunk? And on what basis can you check that trunk?
So on most of the time, you're not necessarily checking the trunk to open it. You're more checking the trunk to close it.
Okay.
So when I come to a car, if the trunk, it's just I think it's just more of a habit. If I'm walking, my eyes is on the rear view, not the rear view, the side mirror. Then I'm pushing down on the trunk and looking through the whole car while I'm walking to the car. So I don't know, in our world, anything is possible, right? So that trunk, somebody could be in that trunk. Somebody could, I don't know what's going on. So you want to make sure that trunk is either secure, closed, so we're all good.
Okay. So it's not really like a search of the trunk.
No. You just got to.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that. And then you also talked about body language. So when you said the aggressive civilian, you mentioned, we pull them over, they're upset, they won't let the window down. Mm-hmm. So we know that we've seen a lot of videos, good, bad, ugly, and there's been some aggression on one side or the other. Mm-hmm. Usually when there's some aggression on the side of the person that's being stopped, it escalates. Mm-hmm. So one thing you looked out for, they're not letting the window down. Okay, this is probably going to be a problem person. Are you guys trained to look for any other types of like body language, like tense shoulders, something like that? Like, what are you looking for when you pull somebody over? Because, somebody can just have a resting bitch face and you pull up and you like, oh, why are you so mad? But that's just them. So what else? Like, why are you labeling this person aggressive? And I'm not talking about the person that's not letting the window down. Like, this person has let the window down, but something a little off. Like, what are you looking for?
A lot of things we look for is the knuckles, right? How they grip in the steering wheel. It could become nervous, right? Mm-hmm. Or it could be a sign of aggression. Like, it depends on what their body language is, how they sitting up in the car. Is their slouch down? Oh, I'm big. Oh, here we go. Or is it the face? Mm-hmm. Right? And if the window ain't already down, then you're going to get the all right, man, what you want? Huh? Why you pull me over? You're going to get that. So for me, it's like, all right, I know how this is going to go already. Mm-hmm.
So there's something else you said that really stuck out to me. Can't take it personal. Mm-hmm. And so with everything that's been going on lately, a lot of things have come up when we are analyzing police interactions with the community. Uh-huh. So can't take it personal. A lot of times we see videos where the stop has went wrong. Not saying they're taking it personal, but there are some personal feelings that may get involved to make the stop go that way, whether those feelings are biases, because, we've talked a lot about police and their perception of the communities that they're policing and how that could affect a stop. So, like, if you're this officer has some bias towards people of color, when he pulls them over, his interaction and his demeanor is going to be a little different than a non-person of color, a person who's not, a Caucasian person. Let's just say it let's call it what it is. And how do you, or how can you? Because there's a lot of officers who can't separate their personal feelings from the job. So my question is, I word it this way. Can't take it personal. What are you teaching officers? Because you've trained some officers, right? Mm-hmm. What are you teaching them to do in the situation where, I'm having a bad day too, and, this person rolled up, they got an attitude. Now, we both got an attitude. What am I doing to make sure that my personal feelings don't get involved in this stop, and now I'm arresting somebody because they ain't move as quickly as I wanted them to?
For one, you don't make that stop. If you're having a bad day, you don't make that stop, right? That's for one. That's why I try to tell people all the time, like, if I know that, because I've been through situations personally that I'm like, come on, man, I don't feel like being at work, and I got to hear other people's problems. So I slow my day down. To be honest, like, I pick and choose what calls I went to, so I wouldn't have those emotions and feelings that come up. So if I'm already having a bad day, I don't make that traffic stop because I don't want it to go bad.
Right.
But if I do make that traffic stop, right, as you say, if it happens, I understand that they don't know me personally. They don't know anything about me. So why do I care what they say? Like, let's get this over with. I got it. Okay, cool. Next. But I don't bring my feelings to the work no more. Because when I was a rookie, at first I was like, just fresh off these Dallas streets, I was like, listen, y'all got me messed up out here. Like, I'm not finna, like, no. But then I realized, like, after 6 months of, like, taking stuff personal, I'm not saying taking it personal where I, like, violated people's rights. But it's just like, if you told me to shut up, I'm like, oh, that's cute. I was like that. I was that officer. But that just made the situation even worse.
Right.
But now I'm like, okay, well, this is why I stopped you for. Or I just let them scream and yell because most people want to vent. I get it over with. So I don't take it personal. I reiterate that to officers. Listen, they don't know you, know anything about you. So why do you care what they say if they're having a bad day? So don't take it personal. They mad at the Dallas Police Department, not you.
Right. And so, you know, I mentioned bias. We won't get too deeply into that. We're going to stick to our scenarios right now.
I love implicit and explicit biases.
Yes. You know, we going to get there. We going to get there. But I guess, you know, we're not taking it personally when you're having to stop. That goes into another conversation that's been widely held here recently is de-escalation. Mm-hmm. So, as an officer on the force, you know, because we are wondering what techniques are y'all taught for de-escalation? Because you pull up on the aggressive civilian and, you know, he start popping off, how we calm old buddy down? Like, what do we do?
So if I got somebody, if I'm responding to a call or a traffic stop, sometimes it all depends on what I have. And I think that's like a million scenarios. But if somebody just going wild, I always tell officers, as long as we can see their hands, or I do verbal judo for de-escalation. Listen to me, man. I get it, you're frustrated. But for us to have a conversation, I understand you're upset, let me just place these cuffs on you. I'm not placing you on the wrist. I'm just saying, so if we can have a real conversation, because you're too aggressive right now. And I'm not saying aggressive way of fighting, but it's and the walking away. Let's calm it down. Let me just put you in these cuffs. We could be good, and I can have a real conversation with you. Or you can come back and sit in my squad car. We have a conversation over here. But as you can tell, my voice never raises. If they're having, I'm just talking like, no, I get it. I got it. But let's go over here real quick. Why we gotta go over there? Because like I don't want to create a crowd. Then you're gonna create more police officers, and I don't want to use this thing today. Okay? So me and you can have a conversation. Then we can just get on by my day. That normally works. So that's what we're teaching. Like we don't always have to go hands on.
Yeah.
If we can put cuffs on people, let's do it. So it's a symbol of, all right, I'm good. If you got an overly aggressive person.
Right. Okay. All right, we can move on to the second little scenario we're going to go through. Officer bad mood. So this one is when, let's say, Officer Glass, you know, they ain't going too well. And you did make that stop because I know you said that, you know, one of the things you would do is not make that stop. But you had to make this stop. And now, you know, you upset that you got to be here stopping this guy for whatever reason. Yeah. What does that look like?
So I come to the car and I'm like, let down the window. Right? You let down the window. Let me see your hands, even though your hands are already on the steering wheel. You know why I stopped you over? Matter of fact, I'm not going to tell you. Give me your license and registration, right? And you say, officer, why did I stop you over? It doesn't matter at this point. You know why I stopped you, right? So what do? Do you go through a battle of back and forth with this officer? Because I always tell people one thing. You know, one thing's for sure and two things for certain. That this man has a gun, some mace. He has weapons, right? We know that part. How do I get myself out of it? It's not about me being right. It's about me having to get home. And I know he's already been aggressive. What am I looking at and what is he saying? And I try to teach people this. You have to always look at this. Name and badge number. And the third thing nowadays, look for this, that camera. Make sure that camera is either that light's red or something. But if you don't even know, just say, hey, I'm gonna need a recording. There is a camera involved, and I need the recording of this camera. I'm going to open records to get this camera footage. So those are 3 things that you need to be worried about at that point. It's not a back and forth situation. It's like, okay, I got it. So when you leave that traffic stop, when Mr. Officer Jack then ruined your day, you can go to his chain or make this formal complaint. Mm-hmm. And nowadays, if you just put on social media that recording, whatever it was, and
that's everybody. Everybody got their phone out when they getting stopped.
And I got a question. People's like, should I put my phone out? That's the time and situation kind of thing. These days, you're not just gonna go to your purse and reach for your purse while this officer is standing there.
Right.
That's not gonna happen unless you already got your phone already rolling before he get there. Then that's what I would do.
Okay. So I just wanted to follow up on some things that you said. So another thing, we're seeing a lot of comply and you don't die type posts, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not picking on you, Glass. I promise. But one of the things you mentioned is when Officer Bad Mood comes up, you know, don't be argumentative.
Uh-huh.
Right? So we're complying.
Yes.
You know? But we see a lot of times where even if I am complying, this officer just has it out for me. And so you wonder, you know, what is being taught to these officers? Like, I don't know the depths of y'all's training, but we know y'all are human, and we know, you know, humans have bad days. Is there anything that they're telling y'all, like, hey, when you're not on your best and, you know, you sense that this interaction is about to go left, do I stop? Do I go back to the car? Do I call somebody else to come? You know, because what we're seeing lately, you know, tasers and the pistols coming out, and it's all getting caught on film. So how are they telling y'all? I guess it's not really a reset button, but like how am I trained? Like, let's back up for a minute so that we both go home, because you made a statement like, don't be argumentative because, you know, I'm trying to get home. And I personally feel that we shouldn't have to approach officers like that because they're here to serve and protect us.
Exactly.
But if I have to be on, you know, pins and needles around you because I don't know if, you know, this your day, you know, you just about to come out here and it could be any one of us. And so I had this conversation with somebody else. Me personally, I get mad when I see videos of stops and, you know, the people in the car are automatically like, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. You know, trying to
overly
trying to portray themselves as this overly compliant person. And so even with that, we still getting tased. We still getting shot. And so,
I mean, this is how I always look at it. It's like, I've never wanted anybody to be a passive, very much passive person.
Right.
I'm not saying yes sir, no sir, like that. No, let's not do that, because you always got to keep your confidence in midst of anything.
Right.
What I'm saying is that, you know, like, we know, like, this person is having this officer is having a bad day. Like, what do I do? Does it benefit me at this point to kind of go back and forth, or do it not? Am I gonna work on de-escalating this for a little bit, or am I going to escalate this thing, right?
Right.
And so that's why I try to tell everybody, listen, at that point, if you know, I'm at least get 3 things out of this, right? Because this officer, like I teach that person, he don't know you, or he or she don't know you. So it's not personal, right?
Right.
What I'm saying is that I want you to get these 3 things. I want you to get his name, badge number. Even if he writes you a ticket, you have that.
Right.
Watch for that body cam. Look for those things so it just don't fall by the wayside. It's not something that's just gonna go away. Like, no, you mess with the wrong person. That your bad day, I get it, but you still need to be held accountable for this bad day.
Right.
Like, I want you to think about this bad day, so you won't have another one. Don't make this stop at all.
Right.
So it's not the comply of, like, yes, a master. It's more of a, okay. Like, I don't have anything else to say to you. Like, I'm not saying anything else. Like, okay, you can't argue with nobody that ain't responding.
Right.
Give me my ticket and let me go, but you will see me again. So that's how I want people to kind of approach it.
Okay. I can handle that for now.
I can see.
I can handle that for now. So take away from that one is name, badge number, check for that camera light.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. And here's the perfect traffic stop. I'm going to let you convince me that exists.
Even though I haven't had one of these in a while. So the perfect
You
traffic.
haven't had a perfect traffic stop in a while?
It ain't that. My ideal is perfect. Is like we skip away laughing, right?
No, it ain't too much.
That ain't going to happen.
Yeah, not right now. Ain't nobody trying to smile at you, Glass.
So even though I would love that, but the perfect with me pulling you over, checking your trunk. Hey, the reason why, I'm Officer Glass, Dodge Police Department. The reason why I pulled you over today is because you got a tail light out, and it's 12 o'clock at night. Do you have your driver's license and proof of financial responsibility, which is your insurance? So yes, I do. But the perfect traffic stop, they already have it in their hands. Get it, go back to the car. They ain't got none on their record, nothing. I don't feel like writing a ticket today. It was so polite. Just make sure you get at the car. Here you go, have a nice day, get that tail light fixed. And I walk back to my car, and I'm skipping back, turn my lights off, and we go on about our day. Everybody goes home, no ticket written. So that would be the perfect scenario. Has that been done before? Of course. I didn't have somebody thank me for their ticket, to be honest. So, wow, I promise you, this man said, you know what? I appreciate you doing that. It threw me off. It threw me way off.
Was the fine written on the ticket when he thanked you?
No, see, I don't know the fines.
See, that's like he was cussing you out a couple weeks later.
It was for no driver's license. And so he was like, man, you could have been a jerk. Man, I appreciate you, man, for real.
That's why.
I was like,
it could have went a totally different way.
You welcome. Bye. So that would be the perfect traffic stop.
Well, I remember if you ever pull me over to smile and thank you so I won't get no ticket, because that's a perfect traffic stop to me. Perfect. It's not getting no ticket, and I don't think that's happening too much lately, not getting no tickets.
I haven't written a ticket either in a long time.
Are you making traffic stops?
Yeah. Right here on Honeycutt.
If only everybody could be like Officer Glass, you know.
Man, I just understand situation, time, and place.
And that's the thing. I feel like if you're going to police a community, you have to have an understanding of that community. You have to have an understanding of people in general. Mm-hmm. So, and that's why I personally feel like all officers should have more than just police academy training.
Of course.
You know, y'all need college degrees, and I'm not just talking straight criminal justice degrees. That's all fine and dandy, but let's get some psych and some sociology classes in there too, so you can understand people.
Yeah, see, that's my thing. Sociology is my thing.
Yeah,
I love the study of groups of people. I love culture. You know what I mean? So I always tell people that it don't matter where I police at, I will definitely police differently in other areas. I'm more nervous of going to other, like, some real suburban areas and police.
Because they probably police you over there.
Yeah, and I learned something. This guy told me this. This white guy told me, he said, Glass, we really don't need police in my community. We just want y'all to keep the people out of our community. We're not doing anything wrong. In the sense of, like, we don't want y'all correcting us. Just keep the BS out of our communities. So I was like,
I'm not going to touch that.
I said, man, like,
I'm not going to touch that
I don't
statement.
think he was talking about, because it's very diverse area.
Okay, I'm not going to touch that statement.
So, but what he was saying was like, and it blew my mind. I'm like, oh. And from my life experience, it started making sense. So I was like, okay.
But why though?
I get.
Flip that, and let somebody over here off 30 and Jim Miller say.
That's exactly what went through my mind.
We don't need you. Yeah. We just want you to keep
the BS out of that. And he told me that, and it blew my mind.
But yeah, I'm saying, like, if this neighborhood over here, if that were to be said, you probably be like, no, you are the BS. And so that, you know.
Yeah. So it blew my mind when he told me that. So I was like, okay, I get it now. So.
I mean, Glass, I commend you for, continuing to do what you do. given all that's going on. I really do. I want you to know that. Like, we need more Officer Glasses in the community. I wanted to put that out there at some point in the video.
Appreciate
So
I got a question for you from the audience.
first, we got to tell them what we're about to do. We about to really get
into the meat and potatoes.
The meat and potatoes. Better get in your business, Glass.
Okay, let's do it.
This perfect traffic stuff. It sounds really good.
It's cute.
Let's talk.
Uh-huh.
How does it feel being a black police officer?
Bam, straight out the gate.
You know what? I think I'm in the perfect position, to be honest.
Why is
A
that?
lot of people might not think that is that I take what I do very, very much real, right? I'm in the perfect position to change the game. I always call myself the inside man. It's like we want to understand it, but nobody wants to do the job or actually get the information, what's going on inside of places. I'm like, man, I'm in this position where I can do both. I can help my community out, and I can learn what the police department's thinking, where they're going, why certain things are not working, what officers are saying, what are they saying in the stations, what are they saying outside the stations. You know what I mean? What kind of phone calls we get, what happens on these calls that nobody know about, right? So I always consider myself the inside man, giving the game what it is. So I love it.
I think the keywords you said was my community.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a sense of pride because this is your community. You grew up here. You went to school here. You're connected here. And I think that's the disconnect with policing. Because, me and you have had conversations.
Yeah.
And it's same with prosecutors. Like, it's hard to police and prosecute a community that you have no connection to because you can't relate. And so that's how communities like ours get over-policed and over-prosecuted.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you see a thief, if you in the community, this woman got 7 kids and no way to feed them. She just wanted a loaf of bread. Not saying the stealing is right or wrong, but when you get deep into what's going on in the community and the needs of the community, like a lot of those charges probably, wouldn't fly or wouldn't stick. So I think that's the important thing is you consider the area that you police as your community. Mm-hmm. How many of your colleagues can say that? How many of them are policing a community that they've never lived in and would never live in? Because I think there's an issue with officers. Like, some of them have this hero complex, and then some of them are just out here strutting their stuff. And then, you have good officers, but the ones with their hero complex that's leaving Plano and coming to South Dallas thinking that they saving the good ones by over-policing the bad ones. Like, that doesn't help our community. And then they make statements about what they've done for the kids in the hood because you out here passing out chips and doing little stuff like that. Whereas, you're harming this community. And then you got the ones, it don't matter where you put them, they gonna act big and bad and probably, make some stuff that don't need to happen anywhere. And then you got the guys like you that are few and far in between. I'm just gonna go ahead and put that out there. And I'm not the type of person that think all cops are bad, but I think it's important, my community.
But you fit the description.
Yeah. I might.
You know what I'm saying? That's what cops are like. I take that. I saw a post. The reason why I said that, it was like, yo, we get all cops sound bad, but you fit the description.
Oh, for sure.
And I was like, dang, I fit both descriptions. Yeah. But I think for me, it's not people like, but you're a rare cop. But I said I want to be the example of what you should expect.
Not the exception to the rule.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I said, why are we glorifying? That's why I had to stop posting. I stopped posting about like me giving out stuff to kids or to the community. Because I don't like the fact we glorify something that should be done already.
Right.
Like, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
You're supposed to be connected.
You're supposed to be connected. We're supposed to be connected to our community. And we're a part of the community, right?
Right.
For me, I understand that there's no such thing, and I'm just going to be real, that the blue line doesn't exist. I take this uniform off.
Yeah, there's no blue life. That's an outfit.
It doesn't exist because I know if stuff hit the fan for me for real, I'm a number, 10362, and they're going to get rid of me so fast. But my community is always going to hold me down.
Right.
And I always look at it, too. Like, if I'm getting my butt kicked out here, I want my homies to come out the door. I'm like, yo, that's Glass.
Oh, we coming, Glass.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We coming.
I don't want people to be like, nah, you deserve that.
Yeah.
So that's that's how I look at it. And that's why I try to set the example. So when officers see me pull up to a call, they like, all right, even if we was going to try to be on some BS, we can't do it. Glass in here. So, and I want that to trigger down. I want more of us to get involved in policing. Mm-hmm. And I think that because that's how they raise their kid. They got police families.
Yeah.
Grandpa's a police officer. Daddy, my kids. Like
they all hit everybody with the same baton.
You crazy.
No, you don't have to edit that out.
I'm not.
No, please don't. No, but what I'm saying is like that's the mindset. They have these communities of like everybody was either a military,
yeah,
or after that they went to the police department, and they have these stories. They tell these same stories.
But there's certain families that look at that type of service, police, military, as patriotic. Mm-hmm. So that's why they do it. That's their duty. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of times those are the people that are the problem because. Like you said, those police families, those aren't always good police families, and they're just passing down bad habits. Mm-hmm. Although you learned this in the academy, no, when you get out in the field, this is how you got to really do it.
It's a different
and this is how I want you to do it. Yeah.
Like, no, and for me, I think I don't want to do this job forever. I'm going to be real. Like, I'm looking for, like, another opportunity because I want to be able to say what I want to say. And I want to, when I write this book, I want to be able to put everything I want inside this book from my experiences. Because I had some real experiences on this department. For me, I never looked at this as a career job. It wasn't my end-all, be-all.
Right.
My thing was, I'm your inside. I want the experience. I want to be able to tell my people what it felt like to be a police officer and being black and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is how we kind of can navigate through this. And I encourage people, like our young black people, you can make this a career. It's just not a career job for me, mentally and physically. So that's what I did. I'm going on 8 years now. Well, I'm past 8 years now.
All right. So two things. Mm-hmm. I agree. That was deep. But I need you to understand that at this point, you've become a staple in this community over here. So whatever career path you take next, it has to be one where you can still provide that mentorship, not just to this community, even to the officers, police in this community, because we need that connect has to remain, like the connection has to stay there.
Of course.
And second thing, so you're saying you came in, you wanted to get that experience, kind of work on bridging that gap between black communities and the police, and just kind of helping paint that image of what it's like to be a black police officer, right? And so not a long-term career, this was just like a learning experience, growing experience, and then maybe this was just your season that God needed you here to help and to be what this community needed you to be. But I want to ask, can you see, like, my uncle was the first black chief of police in Kaufman, career police officer. So I know that it could be done. Like, a black man can be a career police officer.
Of course.
But I've never talked to my uncle about, like, what that looks like, what that felt like what's the emotional toll, the physical toll that took on him. And even in my lifetime, you're still being the first black such and such in this community that you spent your entire life in. So how do you think that would look as a black man being a career police officer? Like, what does that look like, and why isn't it for you, I guess? Long story long.
So for me, it was always for one to get the experience. The reason why mentally it wasn't for me, it's not for me, because I want to do so much in the inside of it that would only take me being on the outside to do. So now I could have the voice of the police officers and the community, but in order to move those ranks, it all depends on where you at. Like, because if I want to be the career, I'll be a senior corporal by now. I would be a detective. I'm stubborn enough to move my way and navigate my way through this department. But I understand what my calling is, and it's being the voice of the people. I can't be the voice of the people if I have a muzzle on, which would be this my current job. I can't do that because there's certain things I can say. There's certain things you better not say.
Right.
So that's where I'm at. So for me to actually get to that next level, I have to do something different. So, but from my experience, I done had crazy amount of experience when it comes to trying to navigate. Even when I thought about it just for, when I was like, oh, I'm gonna be the chief of police. Like, that's what I want to do. Then once that narrative kind of got out, it was like, you want to do what? Huh? No, you ain't. So then I was like, hold on. I really don't want to do it. I just thought it'd be cool if I was the chief, to be honest. So I don't know what the experience to kind of navigate through the department. I just navigated through the community and had the people to speak for me and go that way.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I don't think all police officers are bad.
But you fit the description.
I'm man, put me on the wanted poster. I just find it. I do think there needs to be a higher percentage of black officers on forces.
Exactly.
Male and female, and because that representation matters across the board.
Can I say one thing? They gotta be from. I want to see a lot of more black police officers and female, but they still, because you'd be surprised. They still gotta understand the community,
right?
Because some of them, yeah.
But my fear is, you know, my when my uncle was police, and that was, you know, my uncle's what, 70s. He's in his 70s. He grew up in a different time.
Way different.
Yeah. And so you have a lot of the black police officers that I know are similar to you. Not the exact same, because, you know, Glass is one of a kind. You know, but,
I'm a weirdo.
and so my fear is, can, like, black men and women in our generation, can they make careers out of police officers? Or are they going to get in and feel like how you feel? Like, this is just a learning experience, or just a time to grow. This ain't for me because I can't help my community the way. Because, you know, our generation, we're we're very active when it comes to social justice.
Of course.
And so that's actually how companies market to millennials, because millennials want to back a company that's their views on social justice are aligned with theirs. That's why you see the Nikes jumping behind Cape and all that stuff. So in order for us to make a change, yes, we do need to fill those roles within the system, but can we? Like,
definitely. I think a lot of people get in this job and they'll love it. They will enjoy it because, I mean,
but they have to love it and enjoy it for the right reasons.
For the right reasons.
Yeah.
For you to go to those calls and not fix people problems, but feel like you did the right thing. Right. And I think a lot of people get glory from that, self-glory from that. So for me, I loved it for that for a while, but I understood. I saw this. I'm going to tell you when my mind changed. I think it was Mike Brown. That's when my whole world kind of shift, because I started hearing things that I didn't like.
And you're on the inside hearing these things.
Hearing these things. I was like, wow, we really...
We operate like this.
Yeah, and I was like, and it confused me. And so at that point, I knew I had to change the gears and I had to switch the game up. And from that point on, I've been on my community first stuff.
Yeah. I'm gonna let Tim ask his question and then I'll.
Okay.
Tim had a great question.
All right, y'all. All right, Officer Glass.
Uh-huh.
So we all know that you're a little bit different. You're from the area that you police, born and raised, graduated high school there, specifically wanted to come back to your community? We know that you are the prototype black police officer that people in the community want to see. But how do you police your peers who don't feel the way that you feel, and who often contribute to some of the systemic issues that plague our communities?
Great
So
question, Tim.
that was a great question. So for one, the way I police them is, for one, I dead any conversation that I don't like. Like, I don't.
Period.
It doesn't. I'm not worried about friends on the police department.
That part.
I'm definitely not worried about that. But I do, if I hear something or if I see something, you can definitely say that I'm gonna say something, and I'm a doer. I don't hold my tongue for people. Like, you ask me a question, I'm just gonna give it to you. Or if I don't like it, I'm gonna tell you I don't like it. So that's how I do it. Right. That's why I say when I get to certain calls, it'd be some officer that'll call me. Hey, Glass, can you come to my call real quick? And I get there and I'm like, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just not connecting. Mm-hmm. Right. So I get there, I'm like, oh, we're good. So that's how I do it. I set the example. And if I show up to a call, if I ain't like what's going on, and I'm gonna say something. No, we're not doing business like that. So either you're gonna get off this call, or they gonna see a scene with two police officers, not, you know what I mean? So people know where I stand with that. And so either they change their behaviors while I'm there. If I'm there, I'm gonna say something. This is plain and simple. If I hear conversations, I'm gonna say something plain and simple.
So let me ask you this. I'm gonna segue to a different type of question that's associated with that. What happens when they try to make you the bad guy for going against that blue line? Because oftentimes a lot of cops won't speak up because of that blue line. That blue line is a strong line. And while in a city like Dallas, where there's a lot of black people within the departments, you have other police departments where there's not a lot of black people. And if people who just have integrity altogether, when they see things wrong, they're afraid to say something because, a lot of people see the police, for lack of better words, as a game.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I enjoy the blue line. I think it's for what it should be, what it should have been. I enjoy that part of it. Right? But I don't like it's us against them. I don't like that part. It's, okay, is you with us or them? Because to be honest, I'm going with the community. I'm just going to put that out there. Like, I understand, like, this stuff comes off. I am nothing but a number. And people's like, well, you're nothing. You ain't nothing but, you ain't just a number. I get that part.
No, because some go
But
down, what they tell you to do.
That's what I'm saying.
Turn over this badge and this gun.
Exactly.
And
When
then
stuff
you're
hit the
nothing
fan.
without the two of those, not in their system.
So when I know, because I have a retired date. Like, this is.
Are you plotting?
I could take this off, like, any day. I have a retired date. Like, this not going to last forever. But I know what will my legacy and how I treated people, that will last forever.
Right.
So
the community will hold you down
Dallas,
always.
Texas, South Dallas is going to be there. So that's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about anything other than that. I'm not down for what nothing they ain't got going on with my agenda.
My last question as a spectator. Y'all laughing at me. Will black people ever trust the police?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Give me your reasoning.
I will fight tooth and nail for that. And the way my mind is that I believe that we can have safety, the right safety in our neighborhoods. I believe that to my core. And I learned that because it could happen. I've seen it happen. Because just in my little small community, I can walk around the toughest of the toughest, and they be like, oh, that's Glass. Like, or that's so-and-so. Like, they know who we are. And I believe we can get to that system where you know you're a police officer. You know who's coming to these calls. You know them.
But when the question is, when do we get to that point? Will black people ever trust the police in our lifetime?
Yes.
That's the real question, because
yes.
There's so much reform that needs to be done.
And that's what we're going to do.
In order to even begin to build that trust. And so we need a lot more people on board for that.
I know, because
and I'm all for it.
We never had an inside man. Nobody ever gave us the game.
Right.
Nobody ever.
No. We've had an inside man. You got to remember all the people, like us that didn't stay the course. Like we went in, we came out of law school, wanted to be prosecutors so we can get in there and make a change. We came in, we wanted to be police officers so we can make a change. Then you get in the system,
you lose
and you
it.
either get stuck and you leave it, or you become part of the problem.
Exactly.
So we've had an inside man. We just haven't had one or a few that have stuck it out and got us to where we need to be. Because it's gonna take more than one or two people. And
they were decoys.
Because what I see as what Andrea said is there's a lot of people who get in the system and then they start believing the hype of the system.
The system changes you.
They'll say,
yes.
I'm in Southwest and I see a lot of black cops. I'm not gonna name any of them because they're peers, but I see them getting online like defending every single thing that the police does.
Man,
even if there's the gray area is as gray as a cloudy sky, they will defend it to the death, and it's just like. No, your job is to protect and serve everyone, even the system. Like you took an oath, right?
Right.
So, I have a social media friend, and that's all this person does is get online and just writes everything that happened, and this is what police would write, and y'all ain't out there. You're not seeing how we are. We got to do better. We're our own worst enemy. And my thing is, you're complaining about symptoms to a problem that was created that most of the people within the problem didn't have any control of.
Right. Exactly. But that's what I take those, and I know a few of them, right? And
man, we come in all shapes and sizes and thought processes.
I believe that those, like, and when you say we had like inside people, they were decoys. That's like the police car, the empty police car sitting at the 7-Eleven. It's like, oh, okay. Like, no, these are, I'm talking about real people. I'm talking about myself. I'm trying to create other ones. Just
how do we do that though? And then you got to weed out the fakes. Me and Tim have talked about this before. There's people that come in and say they down for the cause because they want to be seen, not because they here to be down for the cause.
Exactly.
And then when we get knee deep in this, it's like, hey brother, where you at? Like, we missed you at the meeting.
But that's
we missed you at the protest.
They're the loudest people.
Loudest in the room.
Local people.
Man, when I tell you.
And as soon as they get into a position where they can actually be beneficial to the community,
they don't do it unless it benefits them.
Man.
And that's why I told myself, that's why I fell back, because it's not what I'm doing on camera. It's what I'm doing off the camera. It's what I'm doing on my other time. And that's what I don't believe these phonies. They weirdos.
I don't got to post nothing for you to know I'm
that's
out
here.
That's
what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, they are goofy. I just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not out here to make friends. I'm out here to change the game. Like, I'm not. That's my thing. And so I believe I'm going to make sure of it.
I'm with you, Glass.
And
I'm on board.
But that's why I said, for me, I can't do it.
You can't do it alone, for one.
Exactly.
For two, you got to remember there's not a lot of officers, specifically black officers, that's coming through the departments with your same, mind frame. Like, that's few and far in between. I wish we could get more young black and young Hispanic men to come back and police their communities, protect their communities, somebody with a connection to this community, so we can have that same invisible safety net that these other communities have, where they just want to keep the BS out. But the desire isn't there because minority communities have a historical distrust of the police. Why?
Because it was policing at the beginning. Let's be real. It wasn't.
Is.
I believe that if we talk and communicate with the right people, we can change anything. We just got to get the right people in the rooms. We be so busy worried about Joe Blow, and we already knew Joe Blow's agenda.
Yeah.
But since that person had this kind of connection to this, it's like, well, let's kind of just fill this person in. For me, it don't work like that. I'd rather get people that got the passion, that's going to do the work, that's going to put the action in, and we all get them in that room and come up with a brilliant plan. We're going to change the game.
That's what
That's what I'm focused on now, is just getting those people.
Do.
And that's what I'm on. I'm ready for reform.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that. I'm not just talking about the police department. I'm talking about
the entire system.
The whole system. Let's get to that. But my job is my person is to reform the police department. I'm not talking about, oh, let's cut this, cut that, all the other stuff. I'm talking about the way we think.
Oh, so we about to go to defund the police route.
No, I'm not.
We about to start talking budgets.
No, I'm not. I don't.
Defund the police.
Now, see, my thing is reform, because I believe that different kind of trainings, de-escalation trainings, culture training is what I'm big on. Implicit.
So when you hear people say,
things,
we got to go there, Glass.
So that's what I'm big on.
We got to go there. Now you brought it up. Defund the police. Let's do it. Tim, when you hear defund the police, what does that mean to you?
Defund, to take their money away.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hear. But I look at it from a larger scale.
It's not completely eliminate.
It's not eliminate.
Yeah.
It means
a lot
to
of people
reallocate.
think.
But then my question is, where are we reallocating that money to?
To parks and recs, to libraries. We're going to put the money towards.
Question: when was the last time you saw a library packed?
But this is no.
I'm looking at Glass, the library.
No, this is what I was
It's gonna
told.
be a
that the
library
money-
with digital books.
This is what I was told, that the money was going to get reallocated to, and the community would be better off with that, right?
Yes.
So-
But
I'm for the community.
you're for the community, so you're for defunding the police.
Who?
Oh,
No, I said on reform. I didn't say deform. I said reform.
Yeah.
In my heart, before I leave this earth, before I want to put it out there, before I'm 40 years old, before I'm 40,
well, we ain't got that much time.
I know I'm 31. So I'm giving myself 9 years to change the game.
I don't trust the police, and on paper, I don't look like the type of person that would have any reason to distrust the police. And here I am, attorney, going on 5 years, never been in any real trouble, never had any reason to have a negative interaction with a cop, never been to jail, never been arrested, none of that. Have I had negative interactions with cops just on silly stuff, getting pulled over in an all-white neighborhood, asking what you doing driving around here? Let me see your license and your student ID. What you need my student ID for? Yes. And so if you gonna pick at me, who don't bother nobody, I'm supposed to be a good citizen over here. I pay my traffic tickets. I ain't run around with no warrants, nothing like that, And you still...
You didn't say I don't speed. You said I paid my traffic.
Listen,
I paid.
I didn't go say me and that PT Cruiser was booking it. But at that moment, when I had that interaction, I wasn't speeding. I was, going the speed limit through a neighborhood. But he saw a black face in this predominantly white area, and there it goes. Like, what you doing here? How long you gonna be here? So
Happened to me by North Park.
yeah, if that's how, and you got to think, most of us have those type of stories.
Of course.
Yeah, and so it's hard to trust somebody when, let's say 90% of the interactions are negative, even in situations where you've done nothing wrong. Like, in your mind, you hear people say it, oh, what did they do? Well, the crime was driving while black. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah.
In certain areas. Like, you just don't be driving around here. And you also gotta think about how we were raised, because that distrust between the black community and the police officer, like that stems back generations. So we coming up and we being taught, don't be talking to them cops. What you doing over there? Don't be doing that. And, our families are actually having to teach our men, if you get pulled over, don't do this,
Gotta
don't
have
do
that
that
conversation.
All teenage black boys are having this conversation with their parents. In other communities, they don't have to do that. And so they try to downplay our fears and our distress. But we're really, literally having to sit our kids down and be like, look, you're going to be labeled. You're going to be stereotyped. You're going to be followed in the store. I've been followed in the store.
Me too. And I told that loss prevention officer, I know you following me. Like, go ahead. I'm sorry. It pissed me off. I'm sorry.
I've been in the store, and I'm in this high-end store. I'm the only black woman in there.
Ballin'.
I'm in here to make a purchase, and she hesitant as to whether or not she wants to help me. I tell her what I want. Oh, we don't have that in your size. She bring me something else. I was like, okay, it's not really what I wanted, but I'll buy it. And I pull out the car. Oh, you know what? We actually do have that in your size. And like, these are our experiences.
Yeah.
And so I just hate that people try to brush those off.
Yeah.
But again, in our lifetime,
Yes.
will black people start trusting the police?
Yes. Because I'm
We trust you, Glass.
No,
so
see,
in 9 years,
but
we
then-
still gonna trust you unless you do something crazy.
Yeah, see,
It depends on the black person.
unless I do something crazy.
Thank you.
It depends on the black person because I know people that benefit from the system.
Oh yeah.
No issue with police.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's the difference between us and other races, particularly white people. The poorest white person still has in their back pocket that they ain't black.
Of course.
And you see that with the political climate, right?
Oh, yeah.
People like the political climate is leaning towards them. I ain't black. Hey, I may not have nothing, but I ain't black.
Right.
Yeah. See,
Think about that.
And I ain't
No,
married to a black person either.
That's a currency, right?
yeah.
We don't have that opportunity. Like, we sit in this room as educated black people, and I'm using air finger quotes for those who are listening. But every black person has a connection or a tie back to the hood, if you will, right?
Of course.
Every white
Yeah.
person can't say that.
No.
Like, we are all one person removed from somebody that's in prison
Mm-hmm.
or in jail or dead
Or straddling the fence ourselves.
Yeah.
Which way I'm gonna lean today?
Right? So
No,
it's
man,
like
it's
when you get the two types of black people that are in disagreement, then that creates even more of a divide.
yeah. But I just feel like maybe it's just me being a weirdo. Like, I just think that change is going to come, and it's not going.
I love the optimism.
Like, I think it's going to come, and it's going to come on our favor. But we got to go through the storm first.
Glass, it's been storming for hundreds of
But
years.
I'm not saying that kind of storm. I'm talking about what we're going through now. I believe that in the next 6 months we're going to see a lot. A lot's going to happen
After November.
After November, and a lot of things are going to wake a lot of people up.
We won't go into voting on this episode. We'll save that for the next episode.
I want to say this, not as technically a disclaimer, but I want to say that I believe that change is going to come.
I do.
I believe that change is going to happen very soon. I
Agree.
think that what we got going on, how we building, and how we consistently are in communication on how we can change this, not just on the law enforcement side, because it's just not a law enforcement issue.
Of course.
I think that as we put all our expertise together, we put the right people in the right room.
Yes.
We start a huge movement where we're not technically just marching down the streets for our shoes to burn. We're going to be, if we march, it's going to mean more than what you
Right.
could ever believe in your life.
No symbolic victories.
Yeah. I want to,
You want tangibles.
exactly.
Because
I want things to change, and it's going to change in our favor. And I believe that we're going
I definitely
happen.
agree a change is going to come, but I feel like we're the foundation. I don't think the entire building is going to be built, for us to see.
we get
but
at least 2 stories.
We can get a couple of stories, Glass, but I'm okay with being
Dig up the grass first.
I'm okay with being the foundation
Of
and
course.
starting that build and being part of that change and shifting the tone and shifting the environment. I would love to see that mansion go up. But there's so much to be done. I don't know if we can get so much done. We're going to need a lot more manpower,
Of course.
a lot more dedication, and, people that about action. Like, action is key.
Action.
And so
And we all got the same agenda, and
Oh.
our pride is the side. It don't matter who's on the camera.
let me use that as to kind of go in and talk about Brave a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Who was brave?
Brave, like I've said Brave 2-3 times on the recording. So Brave
Yes.
Black representation and valued experiences. Brave is the organization that we have started. You know, it's been a weird year. You know, we got this pandemic, we got all this social unrest, and you know, with everything, things like this have been happening, and you know, they've gotten attention. And then they've kind of passed on. Mm-hmm. There's that group of us that's constantly angry, and you know we are always trying to figure out what can we do to solve this. Like we've been here, but for the world to dang near stop, and now, you know, we got a little more free time to sit down and be like, okay, let's actually get together and pull our resources and make something happen. So what I did is, you know, I'm sitting here quarantining and chilling. And I'm thinking like I'm mad, like I'm legit mad about everything that's going on. I had my moment on Facebook when I was posting, I was calling people out, hush glass, but you know that don't really do nothing. Yeah, as much as I like to argue, that don't solve nothing. Man. I called my Angel because I always call her or text her for stuff about that, and my mentor, Dr. Clayton in Oklahoma. And just frustrating. Like, I want to do something. I want to make something happen. And this is what I'm trying to do. And so I called that meeting we had in my office. Well, what was that? 2-3, that might have been, 2-3 months ago? It might have been a little longer than that. Yeah, it's like the beginning of summer. And so I'm sitting down and I'm going to talk to my Angel about, you know, how I want the meeting to flow. Like, what should I talk about? I want to make sure, because I'm really fond of the people that I've invited. I respect them and what they've already done, like in their individual capacity. How can I get them together and make them be like, okay, this is not just one of those other things that we just gonna start and drop. Like, I want this to move. And so I kind of mapped out the things that I felt were all near and dear to our heart and brought us together so that we could actually make a change. And so just the core concepts of Brave, like our goal is to educate the community on how we can empower our community, better our community, education, across the board, finance, our history, criminal justice reform. We've talked a lot about that. That's why we're doing this here with Glass today. And health, you know. Yes. Because, you know, we don't always take our health seriously, because we was the main ones saying we couldn't get the Rona. Yeah. And so just making sure that we have the resources that we need to start that shift, you know, start that change, start putting down that foundation for that mansion. And so that was my idea, and those were my goals for Brave. And I feel like we got a good core group. Like, our board, I think we're solid. I think we are. It's amazing people. Everybody about that action. Man. Where's the social justice, fighting in the street, they about that action. Man. Like you, I haven't been active on social media at all. I had to literally fall back in social media because I found myself just getting lost in it. There's no change on social media. No. Only that changes on social media is people changing. And my friend list, when I go through and I start blocking and deleting, that change a lot. Say, no, for real. People's true colors come out. I unfriend a lot of people. People get real bold behind their keyboard, and then it's hurtful, and it's like disappointing, because you start seeing people that you have sat at the table with and broke bread with, and they coming in your office and, you know, sharing your space, and the whole time they got these thoughts towards your community, but open out you, because you're a good one. You're a good one. You're a good one. So where can we find you on social media? And you can just give us the Brave, or you can give us your personal as well if you want to follow. Oh, okay. Brave is on Instagram, and we're going to launch a Facebook and a website soon, but it's at The Original Brave on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. It's Jazzy Dre, JAZZIEDREA. I don't really share a lot of political stuff on my Instagram. I do on my Facebook and on my Twitter, which is the same handle. And so, but I am going to start pushing things for Brave on across the board and other things that we have going on, Glass has his podcast and things.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, my Instagram doesn't matter. My Facebook page for my podcast is Catch22 Podcast, which is CA22TCH Podcast.
I'm still waiting on my invite to be a guest.
So we will be relaunching because I had to regroup on the podcast because I was, it got a little crazy.
Uh-oh.
So now I'm able to. I got a good structure now, so you can catch good content. We're gonna be telling people stories on the real.
Tim, throw your OnlyFans in there.
Anything that you all wanted to part with, Mr. Officer Glass?
Yes, I got one thing to say. Listen, if you ain't about change, get your ass out the way.
Man, I agree with that.
Little new school.
I would depart with thanking you for your time and sharing your points of views, because I think that's very important for our community right now, for us to know that there's somebody on the inside, not only on the inside, but someone that looks like us and that's rooting for us and trying to help us position ourselves, and be on the lookout for Brave.
Let's give it up, Officer Glass.
I never can say goodbye.
You gotta put in like the sitcom clap at the end.